Hey guys, I want to talk about what's due this week and what we're working for the next week too. We're in Module 6 and working on stuff this week that's due in Module 7. This week, you might miss it, but you have the Meet with a Librarian assignment actually due by Friday the 13th, so don't neglect to do that. Some of you have already done it. That's fine. Also this week you have discussion 6C, evaluating sources, which is due for extra credit. It's 10 points, and that could help some of you, so I recommend it. But that's all that's due this week. Now the following week you have a couple of pretty big things due. The research scavenger hunt, the annotated bibliography, and your outline or letter version, which is a sort of another way of doing pre-writing of your essay, your third essay, your research essay. So what we're trying to do in Module 7 is get the research component squared away, get the work of the research done, so that when you're doing your drafting, you've already got the material that you need, and you've essentially already built your works cited list, so that you can then bring in and engage with your own ideas and write your paper, incorporating those sources in ways that support the argument that you want to make. So I want to explain a couple of things. I want to walk you through the research scavenger hunt, even though there are very specific instructions for how to do it. I want you to see how all the pieces come together, because I have to admit, even for myself as an instructor, it took me a little bit to get my head wrapped around it. And I know there can be the feeling that if something has a lot of different pieces, that it's overwhelming and you can feel kind of helpless. I just want to show you that it's complex, but it's not overwhelming. All right? Do you trust me? I hope you trust me on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over to the overview of Module 6 and 7. And then I'm going to show you the research scavenger hunt, and I'm also going to show you how to use the PIMA databases. And I'm going to try to do this all without technical difficulty, because you guys, this is like take 5 of this video. So hopefully this time this works out. Okay, so here is the overview of Module 6 and, in fact, parts of Module 7. You've already done most of this stuff. You did 6B in choosing your essay topic. If you've not posted that yet, then you need to reach out to me if you haven't already. And if I posed a few questions to you in my response to your post on 6B, you need to respond to those before I can give you clearance for your topic. So make sure you get topic clearance first, so that my job is to make sure that you've picked a topic that at which you can succeed writing about. And I have some experience knowing what will and will not work, and can steer you away from subjects or approaches that are just going to be frustrating for everyone. All right. Then presumably you've already done this, but if not, you need to read these materials about using outside sources. So make sure you've done that. That's the those readings are basically like the lecture part of the course. If you skip those, you lose a lot of the content and instruction of the course. So don't skip those. I do especially want to point out this avoiding plagiarism one, because I did notice in discussion 6A that when you guys were pulling in what were actually good sources, in some cases you were using a great deal of material word for word from the original source without putting it in quotation marks, or even putting it in your own words. So using quotation marks and summarizing or paraphrasing, those are the ways to avoid plagiarism, which I know are things you know and things you learned in high school and Writing 101. but be careful. You've got we already talked about that. Okay. Research scavenger hunt. Essentially what this is, guys, is I'm saying go look at these 4 different search engines, find a source, evaluate it, write a paragraph about your evaluation, and create a correctly formatted MLA works cited list entry. So you're going to go to each different search engine, find something, evaluate it, go to the next one, and so forth. All right. The first one you're going to do, here's kind of your list here. Your first one is Academic Search Premier. You're going to find something published after 2005. You're going to use the source evaluation checklist, and you're going to write a paragraph. I'm going to open this source evaluation checklist so you can get a look at it. All right, so some of this is just fact. What type of source is it? Is it published by a reputable organization? Do you detect bias or prejudice? If you do detect bias or prejudice, that doesn't mean that it's out, all right? It does mean that you want to carefully consider whether or not that's going to be helpful to you. All right, so you've got all these questions about that. So the first database that you're supposed to look at is Academic Search Premier. Let me show you how to find that. You're going to go to PIMA, go to My PIMA. Once you get to My PIMA, click on Library. All right, so you click here, and then you'll get a screen that looks like this. And this works whether you're at home or on campus. Then you can search by database, where it says go directly to a database. Click down, click Academic Search Premier, and that's going to take you to Academic Search Premier. All right, and then several of you are thinking of writing about the O.J. Simpson trial. So I'm going to write O.J. Simpson trial, and then I'm going to say, in order to limit my sources to things that were published after 2005, I'm just going to say limit my results to things published 2005 or forward. And let's see how many results I get. All right, 527. So that's kind of a lot, not too many. That means I'm going to look through something like 40 screens. I don't really want to do that, so let's say narrow this down to media coverage. See what we get. Might be a little more manageable. That's a little better. All right. Okay, so I'm going to look at this article. It's actually from Time Magazine. It is a review, sort of a movie or a miniseries called The People versus O.J. Simpson. So I know that I'm not getting a firsthand account of the trial. I'm not even getting a firsthand I am not even getting analysis of media coverage of the trial. I'm getting analysis of a movie about the media coverage of the trial, I presume. So knowing all that is important when I'm using this source, but I think this is probably going to be a pretty interesting one. And let me show you one little trick. It's going to give you the full text here. You can scroll down and read the entire thing. Let me show you a trick to generating your MLA citation. Again, stuff you probably know, but I'm going to click on this link that says Cite, and then it has given me a bunch of different formats I can use. We're working in MLA format, the Modern Language Association. And here it is. I can copy and paste this. I may need to do a little bit of reformatting before I once I copy and paste it into my works cited page, there may be some sort of weirdness. I may need to go back and change the font or the indentation, etc. All right, but basically that's what you're going to do to create your works cited entry. All right, so going back to our description of that assignment, you're going to do that for several other databases. If you can't find ProQuest or opposing viewpoints and context by using the drop-down menu in the library, you can search by subject here, but it's probably easiest to just use the drop down because here's ProQuest, news and newspapers, and then opposing viewpoints and context is right here. All right, so that's how you're going to find materials. And of course, you know how to do an internet search. After you do 7A, you're going to move on to your annotated bibliography, which is going to require 6 sources. I'll do another video about this probably next week or toward the end of this week. A lot of the material you use in your the thing I'm talking about right here, which is the research scavenger hunt, is going to be very similar and reused in the AnnoBib. Okay, but you get an idea of the kind of work that you're going to need to do in preparation. So don't put that off. All right. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll be in touch again in a few days. Thanks.